Hey, good morning, dear IoF2020 podcast listener. We are here this morning with Evi Lippens. Evi is a researcher at ILVO, and today she's representing within IoF2020 the Meat Trial. Hello, welcome, Evi.
Good morning, Cosmo.
Good morning. So thank you for accepting to dedicate us a bit of your time. We are here to talk this morning about the challenge that the meat trial is confronted to with the COVID and the COVID measures, of course. Let's start just simple. Can you elaborate a bit on the challenges that you have seen and how the sector is struggling?
So what we see now is that there is a shift in the traditional food demand in Europe. So in the sense that now restaurants are closed, some are now restarting, but there is a shift and people have to stay at home, cook at home. So they go less often to a restaurant. And there is a certain niche within the meat sector of offering products mainly to restaurants. So these are high-end beef products, for instance. And there we see that there is a significant decrease in demand of these products. So this is, of course, affecting a subset of the farmers that can't now sell anymore their beef or have to sell it at reduced prices.
I see. So meaning that all the demand that was driven by the restaurants, it's not being reabsorbed by supermarkets or citizens. So no. It cannot even be, with more difficulty re-exported, but there is also issues at the border. Is that right?
Yes, indeed, that is also an issue, and maybe there is options for storage, but this is probably also something that needs to be looked into. And it's also finding a new customer base. You might be able to sell it to other customers, but you have to find a way to reach these. So this was also an idea that use case 5.4 had. So this is a use case focusing on decision-making optimization in beef supply chain. So they are looking into the idea if it's potentially possible in the next coming months or weeks to find other solutions for their farmers to offer their high-end beef product to other customers or maybe within a certain country or even export abroad. But indeed, it's like you said, export can also be hampered by difficulties in crossing borders.
Well, I'm just taking my personal situation. I didn't stop eating meat or buying meat, but I'm going to my local butcher. And at the moment, it doesn't seem to have difficulties in supplies. But when I miss his opening hours, then I go to my local grocery store, and there also have meat, which seems to be arriving at a regular pace. So I didn't notice any shortage. But I'm wondering, would that meat, which is here in the shop, come from a different source than normal? Because let's imagine if it was coming from Germany, then it's not the case anymore. It could have been sourced from a local producer.
I'm not sure if it's such an international issue. I think it is more that as a beef farmer, you have your supply chain, and this can be that you normally supply big retail partners or local butchers, and I think in that sense there is no problem. But if you specifically targeting the high-end meat market and mainly are delivering to restaurants, then I think at this point you do have a problem at the moment. And it's especially for these farmers that a solution should be found, in that they also can either find also a market in local butchers or in the retail partners, or find other customers directly to sell their products. So I think it's just a certain niche within the meat sector that might have some problems at the moment, because indeed there is no shortage of meat products in your local supermarket or at your butcher.
And But as you mentioned at the beginning of this interview, so the production is still the same. Let's say it's only the sales which are decreased, and I believe that it would have an influence on the prices. Probably they would go down if this continues too long.
Indeed, that is correct.
Okay, well, that can be an issue that would put at risk the whole production system of meat.
Yeah, at least for, I think, certain farmers, there is a risk of that, of course. So it's also, they are now faced with more complex issues of management of their stock and the logistics on how to find new ways of finding customers and points of sales, and at the same time guaranteeing that there is no increased food waste and that the animals have sufficient welfare at the farm and can stay there under the best conditions possible.
And the best condition possible. It's good that you bring that up. In IoF, we also consider the feed supply, but also the remote health monitoring of animals. So, have you noticed within your use cases of IOF 2020 that these tools were demonstrating themselves quite helpful, because then the veterinarian, for instance, they don't necessarily need to be there in person. They can have access to all this monitoring data, or is that something that you observed?
So yes, indeed, within the meat trial, there are a lot of use cases who work on IoT solutions that monitor the health of animals. That can be of beef cattle, but that can also be of pigs and of poultry. And indeed, that is a good way of monitoring your health, staying on top of your management of your animals and doing this in a very efficient way. So you don't necessarily always need direct contact with local veterinarians or advisors, because you can share data that comes from sensors within your stables. You can share that data with external caretakers or stakeholders. So this helps indeed to guarantee social distancing and at the same time guarantee the best management over your livestock.
Well, that's also valid for the feed supplies, am I right? Because then you can also make sure that you order in the right time and you don't have a shortage, and it's also exactly the right kind of feed that you need, which is delivered.
There is also a use case working on feed supply chain management. That is use case 5.5, and they are measuring how much feed stock is still left in your silos with using a 3D camera system. So that way they can predict how much feed is still in your silos, and when your feed supplier has to pass around you, come by you to fill up your silos again, so that you have sufficient feed stock for all your animals at your farm. So also another way of not needing to go and check, but it's something that can happen automatically, and in that way also reduces your interaction with other people that have to come to the farm. So you don't have unnecessary deliveries of feed supply. So the feed can come whenever it is needed, and it can come at the optimal time, both for the farmer as for the feed supplier.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I had in mind. So we already sort of talking about the solutions that IOF 2020 use cases have to offer. But have you noticed if these COVID measures have impacted their activity, or do you think that they also now understand that their solution is, so to say, getting an increased added value in these corona times? So have they adapted their activity? Are they now looking at different ways of offering their services, for instance, to other services in health, for instance? I don't know.
So indeed, I think our use cases were already convinced of the added value of their developed solutions for the farmers and for the agri-food sector. And I think this COVID crisis has highlighted some more aspects of that. So indeed, increasing your management by using IoT solutions can help you in making better management decisions, and that's management can be rather complex these days with changes in food supply demand. So this is an extra help that can lighten the stress and the burden on the farmers. On the other hand, what we also see is that our use cases are very inventive in a way that they want to also make their solutions available for a broader community, so not only for the agri-food sector. And one example for that is from use case 5.5, feed supply chain management. So they have offered their logistics tools, that is a route planner that helps to find the optimal way to do pickup and delivery of goods. They use it for the feed supply in silos. Now they made that feature available to local hospitals and care centers in the Barcelona area, so that they can use the tool for the optimal pickup of necessary protective clothing for the people working in the hospitals. So we think about aprons and masks, facial masks. So they made that tool available, and also hospitals are using it. So it's just a way that what they developed within the ILVO project for their use case is now slightly changed and made available for free to also help these challenges that are now coming from this COVID crisis. And I think this is a very wonderful initiative that really shows that the community is coming together, and that where we can help, that also use cases are willing to help and do their best to open up their technology.
Yeah, that's a very nice example, and it's also very unexpected that you wouldn't imagine this connection between a research project such as IOF developing remote tools for animal care, which is also now 100% applied to a human healthcare system.
Yeah, it's an indirect way of looking at it, but indeed, it's just, I think we sometimes forget, we are thinking, what can we, how can we optimize our solution? Sometimes we need to look it from a broader picture and see, maybe we can position our solution in a broader context and help more people in another application. And I think at the end, this can open doors for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, we might even compete with other projects dedicated to these kind of uses. But no, it's a very unexpected example. So thanks for bringing that up. I didn't even know about it. And I think we are reaching the end of this interview, if I'm looking at the time. Evi, I'm going to ask you, do you have a takeaway message or something that you want our listeners, maybe policymakers to hear, or something from the stakeholders of the meat sectors? I mean, I'm leaving you deciding on that, but let's hear it.
I think it's important to remember to not leave anyone behind. So we should find solutions that help as many people as possible. And on the other hand, I think when you have a solution, maybe think a bit from a broader picture and see, maybe I can apply it, make some tweaks or adjustments and apply it for another application for free or at a reduced cost, so to help further the community. Because it's because of the community that we are able to do such a project like ILVO2020, and I think all of us are really happy to also give back.
Well, that's a good takeaway message, and it's full of generosity and hope. Thank you very much, Evi, for your time and expertise on this topic, and also for bringing some such cheerful illustration of what IoF can do. So I would invite our listeners to, if they want to hear more and to learn more about what solutions are currently being developed in IoF, to go on our website, IoF2020.eu. And you can there get in touch with us or with the use case of your choice, should you be interested in learning more about the solution. Thanking you all for following the IoF 2020 COVID-19 podcasts.